This week in Writer's Workshop, we've been learning different kinds of revision strategies to help make our writing sound even better. Today, we are going to focus on adding detail to our writing to help create a picture in our minds. We are going to read When I Was Young in the Mountains to see how the author uses detail in her writing to help us readers get a picture in our minds of the story. When I Was Young in the Mountains by Cynthia Rylant. When I was young in the mountains, grandfather came home in the evening covered with the black dust of a coal mine. What great detail. Only his lips were clean, and he used them to kiss the top of my head. This is good. When I was young in the mountains, grandmother spread the table with hot cornbread, pinto beans, and fried okra. Notice how the author was very descriptive here. She didn't just say she put dinner on the table or food on the table. She said that grandmother spread the table with hot cornbread, pinto beans, and fried okra. How descriptive. Later, in the middle of the night, she walked through the grass with me to the Johnny house and held my hand in the dark. I promised never to eat more than one serving of okra again. When I was young in the mountains, we walked across the cow pasture and through the woods, carrying our towels. The swimming hole was dark and muddy, and we sometimes saw snakes, but we jumped in anyway. What details about the swimming hole do you notice here?
It's dark and muddy.
Very good, Sarah. That's right. You're so smart. On our way home, we stopped at Mr. Crawford's for a mound of white butter. Mr. Crawford and Mrs. Crawford looked alike and always smelled of sweet milk. Now, details don't always describe what something looks like. They can describe what something feels like, sounds like, tastes like, and even smells like. Here, the author tells us what Mr. and Mrs. Crawford smells like. This makes us feel like we are actually there. Now, as I read the next couple of pages, I want you all to close your eyes and listen to the details of the story. Create a picture in your mind while you listen and pretend like you are there. When I was young in the mountains, we pumped pails of water from the well at the bottom of the hill and heated the water to fill the round tin tubs for our baths. Afterward, we stood in front of the old black stove, shivering and giggling while grandmother heated cocoa on top. Now open your eyes and turn to your neighbor. Tell your neighbor what descriptive words stuck out in your mind. And then they would tell their neighbor.
Last week, and I remember how much you all loved it. I know that many of you would like to read this again on your own, but you have some trouble because it has a lot of big words. So today, I'm going to use the first couple of pages in a pocket for corduroy to teach you a strategy for figuring out those big, long, scary words. I'm going to teach you how to sound out a big word by stretching it out and sounding out each letter and then scrunching it back up into one word. Let's begin reading. Late one summer afternoon, Lisa and her mother took their laundry to the... Oh no, here's one of those long words. Okay, let me try and sound it out. Laundromat. Okay, now I need to scrunch all the sounds together and try and make it into one word. Laundromat. Laundromat. I think the word is laundromat, but let me reread the sentence to see if that makes sense. Late one summer afternoon, Lisa and her mother took their laundry to the laundromat. That sounds right to me, but if I'm not sure, I can always check the picture to see. So let's look, just to double check. There's Lisa and her mother, and they're taking their laundry to the laundromat. That makes sense. Okay, now that I figured out that big long word, I can continue reading. I didn't have to skip right over the word that I didn't know right at first. As always on such trips, Lisa carried along her toy bear Corduroy. The laundromat was a very busy place at this hour. Now, Corduroy, you sit right here and wait for me, Lisa said. I'm going to help with our wash. Corduroy waited patiently. Then he suddenly perked up his ears. Lisa's mother was saying, "Be sure to take everything out of your pockets, Lisa dear. You don't want your precious things to get all wet and soapy." "Pockets?" said Corduroy to himself. "I don't have a pocket." He slid off the chair. "I must find something to make a pocket out of," he said, and he began to look around. First, he came to a pile of fancy towels and... Oh no, there's another long word I don't know. Okay, what do I need to do to figure out this big long word, Tegan?
Ooh. Sound it out.
Sound it out, you're right. First I need to try sounding it out. Okay. Washcloths. Hey, I noticed something about that word. Does anyone else notice something? Yeah.
It has the word wash and the word cloth.
It does. This big long word is made up of two small words. All I need to do is push them together to make one big word. Let me try. Washcloths. Washcloths. Okay, now what do I do to see if it makes sense?
Reread the sentence.
Angela, good job. I need to reread the sentence to see if washcloth makes sense. First, he came to a pile of fancy towels and washcloths, but nothing was the right size or color. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Good. All right, now we can keep reading. Then he saw a huge stack of colorful clothes in a laundry bag. There ought to be something in there to make a pocket out of, he said. And the lesson would continue.